going, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, we are kicking off our 2025 Halloween decorating series, and we're starting in Jameson's room, which, for obvious reasons, there's nothing better than being a kid during Halloween, and I want him to be able to enjoy it for as long as possible. I was contemplating what we should do in his room this year, and I came up with the idea to do Over the Garden Wall as the theme for his room. If you've never seen Over the Garden Wall before, it's a really cute little mini series that I think you can stream it on Hulu, if I remember right. It is filled with like cozy autumnal vibes, but also like vintage Halloween vibes. And it is so well done. The music, the imagery, it's wholesome. The characters are so funny. It's a show that we just like as a family all really enjoy it. We've already watched it a couple of times this year actually. And Jameson loves it. So when I asked him if he was like into the idea of that, he was so excited, and it in turn made me even more excited to do it. So I want to share with you kind of all of the things I've been gathering to bring this vision to life. Okay, so what really kicked off this idea for me was there's a character, a very notable and memorable character in the story called Enoch, and I think when most people think of Over the Garden Wall, this is like what they think of. Jameson has this little, it used to be a reading canopy, now we store stuffed animals over there, but I had this idea of what if I could create an Enoch that like went over it rather than the little canopy. My gears just started turning. So we are going to attempt to make a big Enoch for his room. So I got to searching for a huge paper lantern, which is what we're going to use for his head. I will have to paint the other color of orange on it. And then I'm thinking I will either use paper or like crafting foam or something to create all of the facial features. And then for the bottom half, I decided just to go with streamers. So if you're gonna do an Over the Garden Wall themed party, this would be a great party decoration. This might not be the most long-term, long-lasting way to do it, but I thought this would be fun to try this way. We can always recreate it next year if we end up doing it again. So I got streamers, which I feel like on camera these are showing up a little bit brighter, but we did the two different colors of streamers that we will put down for the bottom half and create our giant Enoch. So I think it's going to turn out. I don't think it should be too difficult, but it's definitely going to be like the biggest thing that's going to make this room feel like Over the Garden Wall. So the next thing that I got was the frog. Technically this is a toad, but it's a frog in our story. So in the show, there's a little boy named Greg. This is Jameson's favorite character. He's hilarious. He's like a 5-year-old little boy, and he has a frog with him. It's just one of those like really funny characters that, again, is super notable about the series. Jameson has named him Henry, but in the show, he has many names. So anyway, this is our little Henry Frog Mine. Another thing that Greg is kind of known for is the teapot on his head. So in the show, his costume is an elephant. That's why he's got this silver teapot on his head. I do have a silver teapot. I actually think this was gifted to me from a subscriber. It's this cute little teapot. And this is the only silver one I have though. And it doesn't really look like the one in the story. Although to me, when I'm decorating something that feels connected to a theme, I like to kind of just have subtle nods. So it doesn't have to be like perfectly exactly the same, just has like elements that tell the story. And so we can use this one, and we might use both because I have another one too. But I also have this one, which I think looks a little bit more like the one that's in the show, but this one's brass. So anyway, we'll see. I have a small version of this as well. So we might put like a few around the room, but we had to have a teapot of some kind for in here. Of course, we will use pumpkins. I've got lots of different sizes of little pumpkins. I got a bunch of these little ones at an estate sale for $2. Also at Home, I found these just orange leaf garlands. I don't really have a ton of like super bright colored garlands like this, but since we're going for that like full on fall feel, I needed some of these, and they were really inexpensive. These are $7.99 each. So they're not like the most high quality thing in the whole world, but they're perfect for what I need them for. I want to put these over his windows. So that's kind of my plan. And they're pretty full. Like the way that they're linked together, it kind of offsets the leaves, so it gives like a nice full appearance, which I like. So even though up close they don't look the most realistic, I actually think they're going to be perfect for what we need them for. Okay, so then we're going to have Enoch over here, and behind Enoch will be these like magical branches that I have up here. And I love to hang like little festive items from those branches. I've done that for a couple of holidays. And so I got the idea to hang some little skeletons. I found these paper skeletons. I will say these are bigger than I was expecting. I was thinking they were going to be maybe about half the size, but in the story, the town of Pottsfield, which is where Enoch is, the people have pumpkin heads and they're actually all skeletons. They're all wearing outfits and things, but anyway, I thought I could kind of hang these little pumpkin head people over there by his Enoch, and I thought that would be really cute. Like I said, they're a little bit bigger than what I was expecting, but I think it could still work. So this theme was really easy to find stuff for because it has that like classic nostalgic Halloween look, and there's so many things you could use that would drive the vision and the look without being specifically, you know, something that was made to look like over the garden wall. And then lastly, kind of for our on theme over the garden wall items, we needed a lantern. So I actually found this at a garage sale a couple of years ago. I have 2 of these, and I honestly think it's perfect for what we need it for. So it actually works too. There's spider webs and like fake spider webs stuck on them. But anyway, so I think this will be a fun addition to have in here as well. I have been fortunate enough to partner with Coral and Tusk once again this year. So if you guys have watched before, you know that I love this brand so much. If you are not familiar with Coral and Tusk, they create these beautiful embroidered textiles. These are hand-drawn, whimsical designs done by the founder, and then they are embroidered onto all of their items. They have pillows, they have napkins, they've got all different kinds of things. So if you have not seen them before, you should definitely go check out their website. And it's not just Halloween, they do stuff year round for all of the different holidays and seasons. So they did send me a few things from their new collection this year. And every year I kind of let Jameson pick things out for his room because the designs are so whimsical and so sweet that they're very fitting for his room. This little, if you can see back in the background, I have this little fox in a uniform. That was the first art piece that I bought for his room when I was pregnant with him. And I have a couple of other prints that go along with that. So the little animal characters just fit so well with that I've always felt like this was a perfect fit for his space. But this year I actually did also get something for myself, which is this blackbird pillow. And I thought this was the most perfect pillow for Halloween. It's beautifully done, and you can see up close there's actually kind of a variation in some different colors throughout the embroidery here. A little acorn at the bottom. I was thinking I would put this either on the accent chair downstairs. It's kind of a warm brown, almost copper color. So I think the kind of copper color with the blackbird would be perfect for Halloween, but I could also use it in our bedroom. So we will see. The bedroom is almost finished, and I would like to add like just a little bit of Halloween touches in there. So I think maybe just a little pillow and a couple of other things would be nice. So I got one for myself this year, which was exciting, but I did let Jameson pick out a few things as well. And the first one that he picked out was this Bat Surprise pillow. If you guys remember last year, we got the Bat Surprise doll. Let me see. I've got him around here somewhere. Where are you? Here he is. This little doll. And it has the same kind of thing. So you open up the wings, it's colorful. He loves this. He keeps this in his room year round. So this year they've added a little pillow with the bats that wings open and close. So he picked that out. I thought that was really cute. And then lastly, he picked out this little trick-or-treat bag, and it has a different little character on every side. I love the little wizard. Got all the stars in his little wand. There's a mummy, the bat dog, and then the little bunny skeleton, which is so cute. So I love that these characters also appear in some of the other items that we have. And so Anyway, they feel like familiar old friends. Thank you again to Coral and Tusk for sponsoring this year's video. And if you guys are interested in anything, I'll have everything linked down below. Use the code TREAT20 for 20% off, which I will also put down below. And let's get to the decorating. Using a paper lantern actually worked out really well for this project because of the natural structure of the paper lantern where the wires go. There was a guide kind of built into this thing, so I knew exactly where to put the stripes and how to section it out. So that made it really easy. I did search around for a long time to try to find one of this size that was orange, and I ended up finding it on paperlanternstore.com. This took a little longer than I think I was anticipating, but it turned out pretty well. I will say this very much has like a hand-painted look to it, but I think that's favorable in this situation. We're going for nostalgic vintage Halloween vibes, so it doesn't bother me. I also was going to go in and paint the second color of orange with a different orange that I bought. However, because it took so long, we're gonna just roll with what we have going on here. It does look a little bit yellow in comparison. It's not the perfect like Halloween orange, but I think once we get all of the other facial features on, it's not gonna matter. So the goal today is to finish our Enoch up. I'm gonna make the facial features. I basically just got some construction paper. I have hot glue, so I will glue it on essentially, and then we will hang it and start getting the streamers put on. So fingers crossed we can get this guy finished today and get to the rest of the room decorating that we need to do. Now, in order to make this resemble the character a bit more, I needed to go in and take a black Sharpie to give an outline around the mouth and the eyes. This just gave it more of that cartoon effect. Now, I will say that the mouth that I drew, I actually based on a different photo that I found, and it is a bit more of a smile than you see on him oftentimes, but I do think that that ended up being a good thing since it is hanging in my 6-year-old's room. I didn't want it to read creepy at all. And so I think that kind of worked out that he's kind of smiling a little. And then as far as painting the teeth goes, if I would have painted the center part first and then drawn the teeth on, that would have been a smarter move because it would have been a lot quicker. However, I didn't think about it until after the fact, so I got to spend my afternoon painting, which honestly, no big deal. paper lanterns are very lightweight, so that made it super easy to suspend from the ceiling just using some fishing string. And then when I glued on all of the facial features, it did weigh down this one side of the head a bit, and so it started to turn. But adding the streamers on and then also taking a couple of streamers and putting them up on the branches to hold it in place really helped. One other thing I would have probably added is the actual character has a bit of bunching of fabric at the top, and at the time I didn't know what to use to create that, so I left it out. But some tissue paper, you could even get just like white tissue paper and paint it, would have been the perfect thing to probably use. And then my other suggestion for anyone who would maybe be doing something of the sort is to get a low temp hot glue gun. I burned my arm so badly when doing this that I stopped the project and went and bought a low temp hot glue gun the next day to finish it. But because the streamers are so light, the glue weighs it down and the streamer like fell back on me. So otherwise, this was a very successful project and I love the way it turned out. I made this little mask for our fox guy last year and just used a glue dot to attach it. So when I was taking it off, I just placed it on the back of the frame so that I wouldn't lose it. So that worked out. But I did actually decide to change the frame out this year for one that I found at a garage sale. I think I paid like $10 for this. The back needed some help. So I basically removed all of the old tape and used some framing tape on it to kind of reassemble it and get it all clean and nice looking before putting the print into the new frame. And we ended up going with the mask on him, but it also would have been really cute to do a little pumpkin head. So I'll show you what our other option was. These little pumpkin heads were actually part of a garland, so I ordered them and just cut them off of the garland that they came on. And, you know, I really wasn't sure size-wise how these two would match up, but it ended up working out just fine, I think. I just ended up using less than I think I initially kind of envisioned. I kind of thought we'd have like a whole bunch of little ones, but I think we did 5 or 6 of the big ones, and it ended up looking really cute. So I just used a bit of hot glue to put the pumpkin heads on and hung them up and called it a day. So this little house is actually a tissue box cover, which is what we've used it for in the past. But in a moment of just trying to finish this thing up, I threw it over the sound machine nightlight just to disguise it. And that evening when it lit up and turned on, we were all so delighted to see the little house glow. I hadn't really thought it through. I didn't intend on it staying on there, but I feel like it's a perfect second use for it. Now I'm gonna do a little Halloween refresh over here on the library, move into filling his Halloween countdown calendar, which he's already very excited about. And then I will share all of the final shots of the room. So stick around for that and let me know down below what you think of the finished product.